Well, Nike shares are rallying after the sportswear giant announces late Thursday that CEO John Donahoe will be stepping down next month. After a rocky 5 years at the company, Elliott Hill will take the reins as CEO and president here. To break down investors' reactions and what's next for Nike, we've got Adrienne Yee, who's the Barclays Consumer Discretionary Analyst. I mean, we should remind investors, viewers out there that revenue did grow under Donahoe, but as we're looking at this change, it seems like it's a very welcome changing of the guards at the top of the swoosh. Want to know what Elliott has to get right from your perspective out of the gate here and what needs to be prioritized, Adrienne?
I think what needs to be prioritized right now is the relationships back with the wholesale, the retail partners. We'd moved away from that, obviously, and while sales had grown this year, fiscal 25, they were expected or they were forecasted last quarter to actually contract, anywhere from negative low to mid-single digit. So the reversion back to the wholesale channel partners is incredibly, it's the base for kind of the brand strength going forward. And even though it's margin dilutive, when you're a $50 billion global footprint brand, you need both channels to be working in your favor.
Adrienne, when it comes to Elliott Hill, given his experience, 32 years experience at Nike until he did initially retire in 2020, is he the right person for the job in your view?
I think somebody with his background absolutely is. We moved away from what was great about Nike, which is the brand innovation, the pipeline, the high heat product, and the marketing that goes behind all of that. Remember, their demand creation budget used to be 10% of the top line. It had fallen under this management to about 7 to 8%, partly because there wasn't anything to get behind. So he's well liked at the company. He obviously had, positions throughout the entire organization globally, consumer, marketplace, Europe, North America. I mean, I couldn't think of a better person other than Mark Parker to come back.
I mean, we do love a good boomerang CEO. Why not? Because there's something that investors can kind of look back to, hang their hat on, and a track record that they can expect to be resumed in many cases. All these things, though, considered here, you have someone who was essentially part of the Mark Parker regime back when Mark Parker was still the CEO and prior to him stepping down from the role, and then John Donahoe taking over the role. All of these things considered, what does Nike look like over these next few years under an Elliott Hill leadership? What does the kind of 12 months, 18 months strategy and 2 years out strategy need to really convey, not just to their partners, but also to investors as well?
Yeah. So I think that when John Donahoe came to the helm, we were in this kind of digital craze, right? Direct to consumer, led by digital, everything was going e-commerce. And I think that movement, right, at the time, the e-commerce digital footprint was about 20%, just under 20% of total sales. They wanted to move that to 40%, right, over the upcoming 5 years. And so you needed a technology leader, somebody who was going to have this consulting background. And I think what happened is that we had all sorts of crazy issues with inventory and manufacturing and supply chain. And all of a sudden, inventory and supply chain, all the details that underpin retail and consumer companies sort of came to the forefront. And so there's a very sort of, dual channel where, yes, we want to get to the future world where it's going to be a digital economy, but at the same time, you can't abandon all the things that were the underpinning of Nike's success up to that point.
Adrienne, when investors are trying to figure out how long until this trickles down, until we actually do see some movement here for Nike in terms of the payoff, what do you think, or how long until we see true product or true brand evolution?
So when a new CEO comes in, and what they're already have been trying to do is, they already said that they're going to go back to the wholesale retail partner channel. So that's already been in process, certainly for the fall season of this year. So let's assume that we're kind of 3 to 6 months into sort of going back and channel balancing. He's going to start on October 14th. He'll be at the helm for the critical, right? We haven't had a Nike Investor Day for years. So November 19th, everybody's going to congregate in Oregon, and we're going to hear from him, in his first month. I think that will set the tone for kind of going back and to their channel partners. In terms of the pipeline, we already know there's some new product that's coming to market in early 2025. In terms of greenfield, right? So from the point where he gets in there and starts to kind of greenfield innovate, we're probably talking 9 to 12 months. So this time next year, we should have a very nice look at what back to school and fall looks like for Nike under this new leadership.
Adrian, we only got about 15 seconds left here. You and I have talked about this in the past and the need for innovation, the need for newness. Does this mean more or less Nike Dunks?
Oh, I think, they're franchise managing it out. So how about this? When we get to the point of the end of fiscal 25, right? So end of May, where they're franchise managing it out, then we stabilize and we grow again.
Right.
But with new stuff, with new stuff, not the old stuff, new innovative stuff.
Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, everything Adrian says is what I want to hear.
Adrian, always great to have you. Thank you so much for your insight here this morning, for hopping on with us.
Thanks so
Adrian
much.
Yee, Barclays Consumer Discretionary Analyst. Thanks so much. Have a good weekend.